My name is Dr. Craig Vosick. I'm a dentist here in Lincoln, Nebraska at VFD Innovative Dental. And one of the questions that comes up oftentimes is, what's the story with dentures versus implants? What's a solution? How does that relate? And I think there's rightfully some confusion there because when we talk about dental implants, they can serve a lot of purposes. A dental implant can replace one tooth. Dental implants can be a support for a traditional denture in terms of retentiveness and security. And sometimes implants can be the foundation for a fixed solution for, in the case of replacing all natural teeth. So rightfully so, there's a little bit of confusion there. So in my office, we gravitate towards looking at the case and knowing that there's some options and helping the patient understand what are those options available to me. So a traditional denture can look great. It's one sense of a replacement for natural teeth. Where the difference comes in is the functionality. Simply by having a few implants to help retain that denture can really be a life-changing treatment. And it's kind of a middle road from an economic or cost standpoint. If we desire to have a truly fixed implant solution, it's a little more complex in terms of the treatment, but again, the foundation is healthy implants that can support the smile the same way that natural teeth do in a healthy smile. So there's a little bit of confusion there, but there are definitely steps along the way in the candidacy from it's not all or nothing. It's not like I need a denture or I need implants. Sometimes there's a continuum there, and our job is to give a patient the right information so they can start to hone in on what makes sense for them. If a patient comes in with a missing tooth or missing teeth and asks, like, where should I go? Am I a candidate for an implant? Am I a candidate for a bridge? Am I a candidate for a denture? We take a step back and evaluate that patient. One of the things that is a hallmark for me is I want to know if that patient has a one-tooth problem, then certainly my default mechanism in these day and age is to help that patient with an implant solution to replace that one missing tooth. Sometimes there's underlying factors that have caused that patient to be struggling with replacement of multiple teeth or even an entire arch. That's where we need to take a step back and say, hey, where do implants fit into this treatment plan? So when the patient comes in with a notion of, I think I'm a candidate for implants, then my job as a clinician and my entire team, all my doctors are well versed in implant dentistry and the holistic treatment of that patient from start to finish. So my job is to help the patient dive in a little bit deeper. And I say, hey, I know you said this. Tell me what you mean when you said that, and let's kind of talk about what options fit into these certain parameters and make sense for your case. If you are a patient out there and you're thinking about implants and the first thing that comes to mind is, oh my goodness, the cost, I can't afford that. I think that that's a natural thing from everything that you've been told or heard. And when I think about implants, I think about the long-term success and the long-term stability. In our life, there are very few in dentistry. We have the chance to make a life-changing alteration for some patients in a very great way. Dental implants are one avenue and one tool to be able to do that. And when a patient is thinking about that from an investment standpoint, we say, yes, this is a significant investment and it's worth it because of X, Y, and Z. I've had so many patients come back to say, this is the greatest thing that I ever did. And that has to do with an investment in their well-being, their confidence, their functionality, and it far supersedes the economic piece of it. But that said, one of our jobs as sort of a super GP in our office, taking things from start to finish, is also looking for solutions that patients can say yes to. We've made an entire practice out of meeting patients where they're at and helping them understand the treatment and get to that point. And it's no different with dental implants. At the end of the day, I want the patient to be able to say yes to this treatment because it can change their life. And part of that is being mindful of the economic investment that we're asking our patients to make. Time, energy, and money, not just money. Is an implant my only solution, or could a denture be sufficient for me? And a lot of times that depends on the patient. As a for instance, We have had situations where an upper denture, a traditional upper denture, can be a good solution for a patient for years and years and years. It typically gets a little bit of support and a little bit of retention if we're able to add implants to that case. But it's an area where some patients do really well and come in and say, I've had my denture forever and I just need a new one and it's been functioning great. A lower denture is kind of a different animal entirely. Unfortunately, a lot of those prostheses live their lives in the nightstand or on the bathroom counter. And our goal is to change that. Some implants can be a solution, takes that patient to a point where they can get functionality. Almost anyone can fabricate a denture that looks great, but we need one that looks great and functions great. The best traditional dentures, the research shows that they function at about 20% the efficiency of natural teeth. I don't know about you, but that's not quite good enough in most cases. So, our goal with dental implants is to take that to a level that it can work for patients and be comfortable and functional and beautiful. So when a patient comes in and has implant retention added to an existing denture or maybe has a new denture fabricated that includes implant retention, the biggest feedback that we get is, "Oh my goodness, I can chew again." Unless you've been in dentistry for a long time, you don't necessarily get to have a lot of these conversations, but the notion of a denture patient coming in and telling me about their ribeye and corn on the cob and their confidence in their smile is really a beautiful thing to behold. So the chance for that patient to go to a point where they say, "Hey, my functionality is like it's never been before. I can confidently smile and chew things that I was never able to before." That's where the magic of dental implants can really shine. And those are the kind of stories that help us as a clinician really take a step back and say, wow, this profession is about teeth, but it's about changing lives too. The stories that really come to mind that are life changing are often, to me, as it relates to dental implants, it's the stories of patients where there's a confluence, a function challenge and an aesthetic challenge. The patients that come in and have a truly life-changing experience. I remember the biggest compliment ever is having a patient. I remember a patient not too long ago come in and say, I didn't realize that I never smiled until I got finished with this process. I didn't realize how horrible my function was until I got finished with this process. Patients can adapt to just about anything. And sometimes they can adapt to some of the worst conditions that there are. And sometimes that leads to this notion that, hey, things are good enough the way they are. But sometimes when the patient chooses to embrace, like, things don't have to be like this, it can really open the patient's eyes to what's possible. And as a clinician, it's one of the most rewarding things because we deliver a patient to a place that they maybe never thought they could ever get. So whether it's dental implants or complex restorative dentistry, sometimes we're able to either give the patient the smile that maybe they once had and they feel like they lost, and sometimes we're able to give the patient the smile that they never had. So that's one of my favorite questions. Do you want the smile you used to have, you once had, or do you want a smile that you've never had? And that leads us to where we want to go. If the patient out there is listening and thinking to themselves, gosh, the notion of dental implants is intriguing to me. It sounds like something that would be a great idea for me, but I don't even know where to start. I would tell that patient, in all honesty, make that appointment, come on in, have a human conversation. We take a chance to the chance to sit down with our new patients and talk with them. We do a consult, a complimentary consult for our patients that are sort of navigating this, because really what a patient needs in this moment is someone to listen to what they're trying to accomplish and someone to sort of parse out all the information so we can have the information we need to make a decision going forward. And we like to be that place. Everyone's solution to every problem, but it does mean that I can help that patient understand where they're at in the process. We can definitely have a chance to sit down and say, hey, how can we help? And there's a lot of ways we can help, but it starts with a simple conversation with the patient who's at ease. Patient gets over the hump of being in the dental office, which for a lot of people is a freak out moment in and of itself. But from there, it's a human connection, human conversation.